Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. It is a near mathematical guarantee that your net worth will explode after saving the first $100,000. But it all starts with saving that first $100,000. And it's so important that this is what the late Charlie Munger had to say at an annual meeting of Berkshire Hathaway shareholders. It's a bit, but you gotta do it, Munger said. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit. As Munger alluded, making that first $100,000 is not easy. In fact, it's a lot easier to get to $1 million. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why the first $100,000 is the most difficult to save, why getting to 1 million is easier, and how you can get to that first $100,000 as fast as possible. And if you watch till the end, I have a bonus tip that you may not want to miss. If you are new here, my name is Santosh. I'm a designated chartered accountant, and on this channel, I cover all topics related to personal finance, productivity, and well-being. So why is the first $100,000 the most difficult to save? Your first $100,000 is mostly made up of contributions funded through your labor. You're doing the heavy lift in this phase. If you like the snowball analogy, you're making the snowball at the top of the hill and rolling it downhill slowly. The power of compound interest doesn't kick in at this stage of the journey. It's generating some returns, but not enough to make the snowball go down the hill on its own and get bigger in size. Let's do some quick math. If you saved $10,000 per year and invested it into a low-cost ETF that tracks the S&P 500 and returning 7% per year, it would take just under 8 years to build up to your first $100,000. This is composed of $80,000 in contributions from your labor and approximately $20,000 from compound interest. So an 80-20 split. You're doing 80% of the work. This begs the next question. Why is getting to $1 million easier? If you keep going down the path of saving and investing $10,000 every year, the second $100,000 takes 5 years to grow, and the third $100,000 takes 4 years to grow. There is a trend of each subsequent $100,000 taking less time to accumulate. By the fifth $100,000, which only takes 2 years by the way, your investment has grown to $490,000. This is composed of $220,000 in contributions through your labor and $270,000 from compound interest, so a 45-55 split. You are doing 45% of the work. That's a dramatic shift from the 80-20 split for the first $100,000. The snowball is now rolling down the hill on its own and picking up snow along the way. Compound interest is doing its magic. If you keep doing this for 23 years after the first $100,000, your investment will be worth just over $1 million, with $310,000 coming from your contributions and the remainder from compound interest. So a 30-70 split. You are doing 30% of the work. The roles are now reversed from the first $100,000. The snowball is now an avalanche. Like I said at the start of the video, it's a mathematical guarantee after the first $100,000. The best real-life example of compound interest at work is Warren Buffett. If you track Buffett's wealth back through time, you will notice that 90% of his fortune was generated after his 60th birthday. If he had retired in his 50s, most people would have never heard of him. If you want to learn more about compound interest, I made a video that goes into a lot more detail. Link is up here. So what steps can you take to save the first $100,000? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This part of the wealth building process is hard work and requires discipline and focus. With that said, here are 3 steps. Step 1. Aggressively save your take-home pay. The first $100,000 relies heavily on your paycheck, so it's important to find a job that maximizes your income potential. And a guiding principle is that at any job you need to either learn or earn, or ideally both. If it doesn't meet either of these 2 criteria, move on. And this is what I did. After passing the exams to earn my accounting designation, I joined a Big 4 accounting firm. It was grueling work. During the busy season, I routinely worked 80 hours a week. The pay wasn't great, but I knew there was a payoff. I was learning tons at the job and networking with peers who would later become finance leaders of other companies. After 4 years at the firm, I job hopped to other companies till I reached my current level of SVP finance and my income increased by 5x. And this is another critical lesson that most people ignore. The biggest pay jumps I received was when moving from company to company, averaging about 20 to 30% pay increase each time. So get high income skills, get promotions at work, and job hop to get pay raises. Like Charlie Munger said, do whatever you have to do to get that first $100,000. Step 2 is developing additional sources of income. If you work a 9-to-5 job and feel like you've hit a local maximum in terms of pay, side hustles might be worth considering. The logic here is simple. The more money you make, the more money you can save. According to a survey by Bankrate, 30% of Americans have a side hustle as of 2023. And this figure is much higher among millennials and Gen Zers, with more than half reporting having a side hustle. On average, they are bringing in about $810 per month through a side hustle. From delivering takeout and walking dogs to house hacking and offering their professional services on Fiverr, side hustles and extra jobs are a temporary way of supercharging your ability to save to get to that first $100,000. I've tried many side hustles over the years, and I'll be honest, many of them failed until I landed on a few that succeeded. So don't be afraid to fail. The faster you can iterate through failures, the faster you will learn from the mistakes, and the faster you can get to the successful outcomes. The third step is increase your savings. If you earn, for example, $3,000 a month, that's the absolute maximum you can save, assuming you cut your expenses to zero, which is unrealistic. So it's important that you increase the distance between your income and your expenses. And the best way to accomplish this is by budgeting. At this phase of the journey, you need to budget. According to Business Insider, 61% of Americans don't track their money. If you find yourself in this situation, using a budgeting tool to track your expenses will help you reach your savings target. As the saying goes, what gets measured gets managed. Once you have a clear picture of your expenses, create a plan that forces you to spend less than your income. There are many videos out there on how to do this sustainably. My personal favorite is Ramit Sethi's Conscious Spending Plan, but you can find many other approaches with a simple Google search. You might then ask, what is a good savings target? Ideally, you want to save whatever you can, but $10,000 per year is a good and realistic target. If you are interested, I made a video on how to accomplish this. Link is up here. After these 3 steps, you might be thinking, if this video is just one long ad for compound interest, why not start with a larger initial balance, say $200,000 or $500,000 instead of $100,000? Why go through the arduous journey of the first $100,000? These are fair questions, and the answers are in the intangibles. You see, the goal of saving $1 million for retirement is such an overwhelming concept that most people don't even start. And as the saying goes, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. A $100,000 target is an attempt to break down the goal into achievable components. The first $100,000 challenges you in many ways. To overcome these challenges, you are forced to develop some non-obvious, intangible skills that make you better at your job and a better professional, that make you develop a growth mindset, aim for promotions at work, and forces you to develop the discipline to save. Because of these intangibles, you've built the required muscles to make the second $100,000 and subsequent $100,000 easier to accomplish. When more than half of the portfolio value is composed of compound interest, your investment now has a ton of momentum behind it, and the best thing you can do is step aside and not get in the way. But tragically, there are some major pitfalls that many of us fall into. You see, compound interest works both ways. It can propel your investments to the moon and conversely drag you down to the bottom of the ocean. If you have high interest debt like credit cards and student loans and only making the minimum required payments, you are accruing interest. And this interest will continue to balloon in size and eventually reach an unsustainable size. If your investment portfolio is a snowball rolling down the hill, debt is like a hot summer day. Your portfolio never had a chance. This is why it's important to pay off your credit card balances in full every month and tackle high-interest debt as soon as possible. Now, let's say you successfully avoided these pitfalls and your snowball is rolling down the hill. How long do you keep it rolling? When is it large enough? This is where the rule of 4% comes into the picture. Your goal with growing your investment portfolio is to hit a critical mass. And critical mass means your portfolio is of a sufficient size that it becomes self-sustaining even after you withdraw funds to cover your lifestyle. The 4% rule is a guideline that you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio without impacting the principal balance. $1 million is a nice, round, hefty figure for a portfolio that provides $40,000 of cash flow per year using the 4% rule. But your critical mass figure will be different because your lifestyle is different. Here is a chart of how much you can withdraw from your portfolio using the 4% rule across different years of building up your investment. Based on this chart, you might be able to retire sooner than you thought or the opposite. With that said, I'd like to know where you are on the wealth journey. Are you on the path to your first $100,000? If so, what are you doing to reach that milestone? If you are well beyond that, please share your wisdom in the comment section. It might be valuable to someone watching this video. And if you got value from this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It's absolutely free and helps the channel out a ton. I'll see you in the next video.